We are doing the mailbag segment. First off, thank you to everybody that sent me the questions over the past week, and I'm glad that you guys actually went pretty detailed in these questions this time, so it makes it a little bit easier. Keep them coming for next week. So in the comments in my videos, post it in there. You could put on there QA, whatever you want. I'm going to go find them and put them in the video for you guys. So I truly do appreciate. Also, you can find me on social media. You can hit me up on Facebook, put some questions. Generally, just put it in my page, and that's how I see it. So that's how I get to it. I do see them. I may not respond on social media every single time, but as you can clearly see, I'm getting to it right now. So I do appreciate it. Keep the questions coming. In this video, the questions are all over the place, and I like that. It is not one singular focus. It's all over the place, so we're going to get into it right now as we go. So the first question here that I got was, name a player the Lions legitimately could draft at 28. This is the idea of not who the Lions should get at 28 or what you think they should. What do you think they could do? I really do believe that it's going to be a pass rusher here at the 28th pick if they stay. We're talking about if they stay. There's no trade. We have the 28th pick, right? Obviously, everything is out of the case if we trade. But I do think it would probably be a pass rusher. This defense, or this draft, is filled with a lot of pass rushing talent. There is going to be plenty that falls to the Lions. And, I mean, you got Jack Sawyer that's going to be there. You got Donovan Ezukuru who's going to be there. You got all sorts of pass rush. I think that's what they're going to do there. So I'll go pass rush. I'll go with pass rush. I'll go with Donovan Ezukuru. I don't even know how to say the name right, but pass rushing specialist that I think could be there at the 28th pick. It's difficult because you don't know how the draft is going to go with other teams. We know our team very well. You know your team very well. We know our team. But other teams, it's quite difficult what their general managers are going to do. So that's the route I think there. What do you guys think? In the comments, who do you think the Lions will take with the 28th pick? Mike, should the Lions draft quarterback Will Howard? If you don't know, he's the quarterback out of Ohio. He's a bigger guy, right? I think he's 6'4". He's put up 30 touchdowns, 4,000 yards. I think it was like 12 interceptions, something like that. I do believe he is a day 3 pick, in my opinion. Now, I've seen Daniel Jeremiah, I've seen others put him as a day 2 pick. There's no freaking way I see the Lions drafting a quarterback in the day 1 or day 2. I just don't see it happening. If they do, it would be the end of day 3, in my opinion. So I don't believe that the Lions are going to draft Will Howard. I think he'll be gone before the Lions would even consider taking a quarterback. And we still got Hendon Hooker. We have developed him. He's on this football team. Why would the Lions draft a guy with Hooker still on the roster? It doesn't make sense. So I'm going to say no, they don't draft Will Howard. And I'm going to just put out there they don't draft a quarterback at all in this year's draft, especially the way that it's sitting right now. It just doesn't. I mean, we look what we drafted Hendon Hooker. He's hardly played, and he's still under a rookie contract. I just don't understand why you'd invest years to give it away. The only way I could see is if we traded Hendon Hooker and we got something and compared that we used for him. That would be it, but I see no indication of that happening, so I'm going to put no at this moment. Next question, should the Lions sign Josh Sweat? Well, there's positives and negatives for signing Josh Sweat. The positive is we have a pass rusher that can get to the quarterback. It's not going to be that much money, and it will put a real big smile on my face. The negatives is he's not as heavy, right? He's, I think, 245 pounds. He's lighter. So, and the Lions like the bigger guys up front. They like the 265s, 280s. They like the big pass rushers, man, 270s. Shit, I've seen ones where they go 290s who could play interior, right? Like, you look at what they have right now, that's kind of what they like. Would I do it? Look, I'm looking to get pass rusher. There's multiple pass rushers. So am I just say just get Josh Sweat? No. I want them to get a pass rusher. And I am not picky in this area. We're going to talk about another pass rusher here coming up that was sent to me. But there is so much. We're talking about draft and free agency. And I want to say yes for both. So should the Lions sign Josh Sweat? Look, if they can't get anybody else, hell yeah. Sign Josh Sweat, man. But if there's other options out there and they think there's better fits, that would be the only negative spot to that. But there's no doubt he would help this football team. We've seen it. I've talked about it way before the Super Bowl. I talked about it in trade deadline. I talked about Josh Sweat in preseason because they're seeing what he was doing. So as a potential player that the Lions, may try to get at some point. And man, we don't have him now, but if the Lions were to get him, he would definitely make this team better because we need pass rush. We need to have a guy that can get to the quarterback. It's not a want, it's a need. It is no longer a want, it is a need. In the comments, would you sign Josh Sweat? Odds of the Lions trading for Myles Garrett. Every day it's a new Myles Garrett video because everything that's going on. First off, listen to Tom Pelissaro, and he said the situation for Myles Garrett probably would get taken before the draft. So he said probably nothing would happen after the draft. So I'm really excited because I want this situation to end. I'm personally tired of talking about Myles Garrett every damn video, but that's all the articles and the rumors are flying around. It's just that's really it, right? We're in the offseason mode. Not a lot of information is coming out. Everyone's talking about Myles Garrett and to the Detroit Lions. Literally, if you go put in Myles Garrett, where is the best fits? Everybody on YouTube, we're talking big media and low media, talk about the Detroit Lions. So the odds of the Lions traded for the Detroit Lions is going to be low. Why? Because Cleveland's not going to want to give him up. And that's odds of him being traded is low. Now, if you're talking about a team that is... So, from a perspective of just Myles Garrett and being traded, I think is low. Now, you ask me if he gets traded to a specific team. If one team is low, what's the other odds of him getting traded to a team? I actually think the Lions would be high up there, and I'm sure they've made the phone call. The problem is it takes two to tango, and so I'm going to put the odds at, I don't know, 20%. Is it 1%? No. Is it 70%? No. I'll go 20% because of more of a Cleveland Browns thing, and I think the Lions would be interested. I'm seeing Jeff Risdon. I'm seeing a lot going on now in the down part of the media and rumors that the Lions would love to get that way, to get a pass rusher. So I think the Lions are actually interested. They're not going to overpay for anybody. It would have to be a deal that Cleveland would do here. So I'm going to say the odds are low. But if he were to get traded, I think to a team, if the were to get traded to a team, the Lions would be high actually on that list. So I'm going to go 20%. But make no mistake about it. I wish it would be up there, right? Because I do believe if you were to put a Myles Garrett on this football team with Aiden Hutchinson, it's going to be unstoppable. It's going to be fundamentally unstoppable. So I think that would be awesome. But I'd go 20%. Not the greatest odds in the world, but not bad odds. Should the Lions sign Joey Bosa? We talked earlier a bit about getting the pass rush. Joey Bosa played 14 games last year. He's only had 5 sacks. He's at the end of his career. And now he played 14 games. He actually has been injured quite a bit throughout his career. 14 is actually pretty high for what he has done. But look, I think he is an option for Detroit. He's going to be on the cheap. He's a veteran. I think this is a legit option, right? Is a Joey Bosa type of player. A player that is at the end of his career that's going to be cheaper, who's had some injury history. Why do you say that? Because that's the type of free agents that we've went after. And some has not worked out, or some hasn't worked out, and some has worked out. So I think that is a legit option. I think all options are on the table for pass rush. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, the draft, clearly anyone that you can think of, I think is going to be connected to the Detroit Lions. But honestly, for me, I think the Lions should look a little bit elsewhere. I personally would like to find somebody that is a little bit younger on the spectrum. If they wanted to go Joey Bosa and draft a guy at 28, I'm all about that, right? But I would like to have an option for a younger player in their as well. What do you guys think? Should the Lions sign Joey Bosa? Let me know in the comments below as we continue this QA session going here. So let me get to the next one here. Name an outside free agent the Lions would sign. So this is asking me who I think the Lions would sign in free agency. Well, first off, we look at, I'm not going to mention our own guys. We're going to say outside free agent here. It's a tough one, but I'm going to go, if they're going to go with one free agent, it may not be the biggest name in the world. I'm going to stay with Khalil Mack. I think that makes the most sense to me. An outside free agent to come to Detroit. If you put him on this defensive line, and I've talked about this as one of the free agents I personally would like to see in Detroit, I don't think it's going to cost as much as some other passes. It's going to cost you some, right? It will, but it's not going to cost you as much. And I think he's got some juice left in the tank. That could be an option for a legit free agent target. Let me see if I can think of another one just right off rip for Detroit. It's going to be difficult because we don't need a lot outside of free agencies. It's going to be a lot of depth players. We don't need a lot of starters. So if we lose one, say we lose a Carlton Davis, maybe we can get a cornerback, but that's the problem right now. So I'm just going to do with additions without even thinking of subtractions. And, man, Khalil Mack is about the top one there that I can think of. Maybe a Josh Sweat as well. But it's hard because I don't think we're going to go crazy in free agency this year. And that's not good for my channel. It's not good for YouTube in general. I just don't think it's going to be B-list players, and it's hard for me to just name like a B-list player because there's so many of those. So I'll go with Khalil Mack and a couple B-list guys that we may not even know much, and a ton of our own guys. Dan Skipper, all those guys. A lot of those guys I do think the Lions, so that's going to be their priority is our own guys. So in the comments, let me know your thoughts about these questions. Give me your thoughts. Who do you think the Lions sign in free agency? Adios.